I would say Benavidez, but he's too, that weight class is too high for him. So, where he's at now is great.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 170.
And Terence Crawford.
No,
yeah. No, I ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts?
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Coach Brian Bomac McIntyre caused a stir after the fight when he was asked about Turki Alalshikh's suggestion that Terence Crawford and David Benavidez fight next. McIntyre simply rejected the idea, saying Crawford didn't need the kind of matchup.
For a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Ennis? Absolutely.
And he don't want them.
He also told fans that facing Jaron Boots Ennis would not help Canelo, because Crawford is a completely different kind of fighter compared to Ennis.
Performance proved about the Ennis sparring. You guys were largely
I told you it don't make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that. I said that, didn't I?
Yeah.
In one of the interviews, I said that. Don't mean shit. Because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, Boozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good.
Whole Benavidez conversation started when Turki Alalshikh, a very important figure in Saudi boxing, tweeted just hours after Crawford's huge win. He congratulated Crawford on his historic achievement of becoming the first fighter to be undisputed in 3 different divisions, while also thanking Canelo Alvarez for a great performance. Then, as if hinting at the next move, he asked the question, can David Benavidez still make 168 pounds? Trainer Greg Hackett commented on the sudden reports of Crawford versus Benavidez, saying this wasn't a finalized plan and seemed more about money and hyped at fairness. Hackett pointed out that Crawford didn't need Benavidez, and that Benavidez could hurt his body by cutting back to 168 pounds after moving up to 175.
That's his limits, and he think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175.
Hackett went on to explain that the talk about Crawford and Benavidez was mostly exaggerated. In his view, Turki Alalshikh was using the buzz to highlight his promotional skills. Still, Hackett admitted that certain fights become interesting when they go beyond just promotion.
He had some tough tasks in front of him that he wanted to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he wanted to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm.
Another question people raised was whether Crawford could really move up in weight class. Many experts labeled him a 4-division world champion, but technically he wasn't. Boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult often questioned whether Crawford's resume truly deserved all the attention, noting that some critics believe Crawford hadn't faced enough top-level competition.
Crawford is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I've said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how.
The story, however, overlooked the brighter side of Crawford's historic fight. His performance made even his toughest critics rethink his impact. Showbiz recorded the reactions directly after the fight, capturing how people began to see Crawford in a different light.
Put together, that guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terence Bud Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol.
Crawford became the first male boxer to hold all 4 major belts in 3 weight divisions, moving up to 168 pounds to win them. No one else has broken that record. So even though he wasn't really a 4-division undisputed champion, his accomplishments stood out. Many were surprised when Canelo Alvarez showed humility after losing to Crawford by majority decision. Instead of avoiding the question, he praised Crawford and admitted he was the better fighter.
Compare and contrast the fight between
yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Longtime boxing reporter Dan Rafael also shared his thoughts on the Crawford versus Canelo fight. What struck him most was Crawford's ability to take control in the later rounds, even though Canelo had started strong.
Good job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was
And Rafael emphasized how historic Crawford's win was, noting that it was a fight he had always wanted but many thought would never happen. He explained that Crawford rarely got opportunities to fight bigger opponents, which made this achievement even more significant.
history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it. No chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is undefeated."
Well-known commentator Sean Zittle also discussed Crawford's rising fame. After beating Canelo, Zittle said he had long believed Crawford was a great fighter, ranking him pound for pound number one back in 2017, though he hadn't yet considered him among the sport's all-time legends.
Number one pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers. But I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no, he's with the best of the best.
Zittle also analyzed Crawford's technical performance against Canelo. He praised Crawford's ability to absorb punches and show unmatched resistance at this weight. According to Zittle, Canelo lost his rhythm while Crawford used his jab in the third and fourth rounds to take control of the fight.
The effect on Crawford, I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully. And then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that third and fourth round really started to give Canelo fits. And then number one, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this fight.
Before the fight, many thought Canelo's size, experience, and strength would give him an edge. But after the loss, Canelo responded with class on Instagram. He didn't make excuses. He thanked his team, his family, and especially his wife, Fernanda, for supporting him. He said he was proud of his career, ready to learn from the defeat, and grateful for his loved ones. Meanwhile, Crawford showed unusual emotion at the post-fight press conference, calling out reporters who had long criticized him as boring or unable to draw fans.
A three-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?
For years, boxing experts had doubted Crawford's star power, claiming he wasn't entertaining and couldn't sell fights. At the press conference, Crawford shouted back at those critics, proving that on the sport's biggest stage, he had finally silenced them.
And all of it all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, anybody can be a nobody. Like I said, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say?
When Canelo stepped into the ring to defend his undisputed title, everything was on the line, not just belts, but his reputation as well. His defeat by Crawford cost him all of his belts at super middleweight and weakened his historic status. Australian cruiserweight world champion Hai Apataya quickly reacted, saying Crawford clearly deserved the win and praising his performance.
Listen, though, too smart. Like, what a technician.
Are you shocked or not?
Not at all. Not at all. That's how I pictured the fight going. So I'll picture the fight going that way. Yeah, impressive. You know what I mean? Coming up from all those weight divisions. Hit and don't get hit. That's the name of the game. Yeah. Puts him differently in their list, but he's in everyone's list. You know what I mean? He's deserved his respect. He's one of the greats. And that Crawford name, that last name, that's written down in history. So
I added that Crawford's reputation had now reached a new level. Though still fresh, his name was now part of boxing's all-time greats. He had earned respect across the sport, and his legacy was firmly written into boxing history.
I was hoping that there was more action coming from Canelo. You know, I'm used to Canelo fighting that way all the time. You know, he tried his best. You know, he always has trouble against movers. I was really expecting them to be more punches, more movement by Canelo. Yeah, I mean, it was a situation where Terence Crawford's a tactician and he throws combinations and he moves. And then, if you try and exchange with him, he's gone already. So you got to be fast. You got to punch him when he's